Do you believe love can survive anything? Anna did, until she discovered the truth. The sun was shining brightly the day Anna's life shattered. She had been folding laundry in their cozy little living room, humming a tune she barely remembered. The phone rang, cutting through her rhythm like a sudden storm. "Mrs. Carter?" The voice on the other end was urgent. "Your husband has been in an accident. You need to come to the hospital immediately." Anna's heart dropped. She didn't even ask questions. Throwing on her coat, she rushed out the door, leaving behind a pile of clothes and her quiet morning. The hospital was a blur of white walls, antiseptic smells, and hurried footsteps. Tom lay in a bed, motionless. His once strong hands rested limp at his sides. "He's paralyzed from the waist down," the doctor said. Anna barely heard him. All she could see was Tom's face, pale and strained, but his eyes pleaded for hope. She took his hand. "We'll get through this, Tom," she whispered, not knowing then how much those words would demand of her. The wheelchair creaked as Anna pushed Tom through the front door of their home. It was the same house they had built their dreams in, but everything felt different now. The walls seemed to echo with emptiness, and the scent of freshly baked bread that usually filled the air was replaced with a sterile, hospital-like aroma from Tom's medications. Their neighbors came by to offer condolences. Some brought casseroles, others brought pitiful looks that made Anna's skin crawl. "How will she manage?" one of them whispered, not realizing Anna could hear them. Anna smiled politely and shut the door. She wheeled Tom to their bedroom, rearranged the furniture to make space, and set up the special bed the hospital had sent home with them. That night, as Tom slept, Anna sat by his side, staring at the ceiling. She thought about their plans, traveling to Italy, opening a small bakery, and starting a family. All of it now felt like a distant memory. But she made a vow to herself: she would not let this break them. The days quickly fell into a pattern. Anna woke early to prepare Tom's meals, feed him, and help him bathe. The sound of running water in the morning no longer felt peaceful, it was now a reminder of her new reality. Tom hated feeling helpless. "I can do it myself," he snapped one day as Anna tried to help him shave. His hand shook as he held the razor, but he refused to let go. Anna stepped back, tears welling in her eyes. "Okay, Tom. I'll just be here if you need me." She busied herself in the kitchen, listening to the sound of Tom's struggles. Finally, she heard the razor clatter to the sink. When she peeked in, he was slumped over, defeated. Without a word, Anna took the razor and finished shaving him. This time, he didn't protest. That night, as they sat together watching the evening news, Tom reached for her hand. "Thank you," he said softly. It was the first time she had seen a glimpse of the man she married since the accident. Anna stood in the kitchen, staring at the calendar. The date marked their 12th wedding anniversary, but there would be no celebration this year. Instead of a romantic dinner, her day had been spent navigating Tom's medications, doctor's appointments, and the endless chores that seemed to multiply. Tom was in the living room, his wheelchair parked by the window. He watched the world outside with a longing that made Anna's chest ache. "Tom," she said, forcing cheer into her voice. "Do you want to sit on the porch for a while? It's nice outside." "No," he replied sharply, his gaze not meeting hers. Anna bit her lip and walked away. She knew he wasn't trying to hurt her, but the sharpness of his words cut deep. She stood at the sink, letting the sound of running water drown out her thoughts. Later that night, as she lay in bed staring at the ceiling, a single thought consumed her: is this my life now? It was a quiet morning when Anna decided to introduce a new routine to their lives. She pushed Tom's wheelchair to the garden, where the roses they had planted years ago still bloomed. "Do you remember these?" she asked, kneeling to touch the petals. "We planted them the year we moved in. You said red roses were too romantic, but I insisted." Tom stared at the flowers, silent for a moment. Then, to Anna's surprise, he smiled faintly. "They're beautiful," he said, encouraged. Anna began taking Tom outside every day. She read to him under the shade of the oak tree, pointing out birds and describing their songs. It wasn't much, but it was something, a small bridge back to the man he used to be. One evening, while sorting through the mail, Anna found a letter addressed to Tom. The handwriting was unfamiliar, and there was no return address. She hesitated for a moment before handing it to him. Tom's face darkened as he read the letter. Without a word, he crumpled it and tossed it into the trash. "Who was it from?" Anna asked, her voice cautious. "Nothing important," Tom muttered, wheeling himself out of the room. Anna retrieved the letter after he left. The paper was wrinkled, but she could make out a few words. "Claire. Meeting. Our plans." Her heart skipped a beat. Who was Claire? The name lingered in Anna's mind. She didn't ask Tom about the letter again, but she couldn't shake the feeling that it meant something. Late at night, when the house was silent, she would sit by the fireplace, staring into the flames and wondering if there was a part of Tom's life she didn't know. One afternoon, while cleaning the bedroom, Anna found an old photo album tucked away in the back of the closet. As she flipped through the pages, she saw familiar faces, family, friends, and their wedding photos. But toward the end of the album, she found something unusual, a photo of Tom standing beside a woman she didn't recognize. Anna's fingers trembled as she traced the woman's face. She was beautiful, with dark hair and a warm smile. On the back of the photo were the words, "To my Tom, forever, Claire." Anna waited until dinner to bring it up. She placed the photo on the table in front of Tom and watched his face pale. "Who is she, Tom?" Anna asked, her voice steady but her heart racing. Tom stared at the photo for what felt like an eternity. Finally, he said, "She was someone I knew a long time ago." "That's all?" Anna pressed. "Someone you knew?" Tom didn't answer. He wheeled himself away, leaving Anna alone at the table. She sat there for hours, staring at the photo and wondering what else her husband might be hiding. The air in the house grew heavy after that night. Anna couldn't shake the image of the mysterious woman in the photo, nor could she forget Tom's evasive response. She started noticing small things she hadn't paid attention to before, how Tom seemed withdrawn at times, how he avoided eye contact when certain topics came up. One evening, while folding laundry, Anna found herself staring at Tom's old briefcase. It had been untouched for years, gathering dust in the corner of their closet. Her fingers hovered over the latch. "Am I crossing a line?" she whispered to herself. But the need for answers overpowered her hesitation. Inside, she found papers, receipts, and documents. At first, nothing seemed unusual. But tucked in the side pocket was an old key with a faded tag that read Locker 47. Anna turned the key over in her hands, her mind racing. A locker? Where? What could be inside? The next morning, she broached the topic with Tom casually. "Do you remember your old briefcase?" she asked while setting his breakfast tray. Tom froze mid-bite. "What about it?" "I was thinking of cleaning it out. There's an old key in there. Locker 47. Does it mean anything to you?" His reaction was swift. His hand trembled as he set down his fork. "It's nothing," he said curtly. "Just some old junk." But Anna knew better. The way his eyes darted away, the tension in his voice, it was a reaction she couldn't ignore. That key wasn't just junk. It was something he didn't want her to find. Anna couldn't let it go. The following day, after ensuring Tom was comfortable, she headed into town with the key in her pocket. She visited every storage facility, gym, and train station she could think of, asking about Locker 47. Finally, at a small, run-down storage center on the outskirts of town, she found it. The clerk looked at her curiously as she handed over the key. "Been a while since anyone asked about this locker," he remarked. "I'll take you there." The locker was small, metal, and unassuming. Anna's hands shook as she inserted the key and turned it. The door creaked open, revealing a dusty box inside. Anna carried the box to her car, her heart pounding with every step. She placed it on the passenger seat and sat there for a long moment, staring at it. "What are you hiding, Tom?" she whispered. Back home, she waited until Tom was napping to open the box. Inside, she found a collection of items that felt like pieces of a puzzle, letters addressed to Tom from Claire, photos of the two of them together, and a faded wedding band. Anna's breath hitched as she pulled out a handwritten note on delicate stationery. The words sent a chill down her spine. "Tom, I'll always love you, no matter what. If you ever need me, I'll be waiting. Claire." Anna sat on the floor, surrounded by the remnants of Tom's secret life. The letters revealed a love story she had never known, a life Tom had kept hidden from her for decades. Claire wasn't just a fleeting memory, she was a central part of his past. She clutched the wedding band in her hand, its weight feeling heavier than it should. Had Tom loved Claire more than he loved her? The thought was unbearable. When Tom woke from his nap, Anna was waiting. She held the letters in her hand, her face pale but determined. "Tell me the truth, Tom," she demanded. "Who is Claire, and what was she to you?" Tom's face crumpled as he saw the evidence laid before him. He let out a long sigh, looking older than Anna had ever seen him. "She was my first love," he admitted. "We were young and foolish. I thought we'd spend our lives together, but things didn't work out. I met you, and I thought I'd moved on." Anna's voice trembled. "You thought? Then why did you keep all of this? The letters, the photos. This ring?" Tom looked down, unable to meet her eyes. "Because I never got closure," he said softly. "I never stopped wondering what could have been." Anna felt as though the ground beneath her had shifted. For 30 years, she had devoted herself to Tom, believing she was his everything. Now, she wasn't sure where she stood in his heart. The days that followed were marked by silence. Anna went through her routines mechanically, but her mind was elsewhere. She couldn't stop replaying Tom's confession in her head. Tom tried to reach out to her. "Anna," he said one evening, his voice heavy with guilt, "I know I've hurt you. But you have to understand. You're the one who stayed. You're the one who's been by my side through everything." She turned to him, tears in her eyes. "But was I enough, Tom? Or was I just second best?" He didn't have an answer, and that silence spoke volumes. Anna spent her days lost in thought, each moment weighed down by the burden of Tom's revelation. The letters and photographs from the box haunted her, whispering of a life she had never been a part of. One afternoon, while dusting the bookshelves, she stumbled upon an old leather-bound journal tucked behind the photo albums. It was Tom's handwriting on the cover, "Private." Anna hesitated, her heart warring with her sense of respect for his privacy, but the ache of unanswered questions was too strong. She opened the journal, the pages yellowed with time. The first entries were ordinary, notes about work and their early years together. But as she flipped further, she found entries about Claire. "I saw her today. It's been years, but she still has that smile that lights up the room. Why does she have this hold on me?" Anna's hands trembled as she read. These weren't just fleeting memories. Tom had been carrying Claire in his heart long after their marriage began. That evening, Anna sat across from Tom, the journal in her lap. She didn't need to say anything, the hurt in her eyes spoke for her. Tom sighed deeply, his shoulders sagging under the weight of her gaze. "You found it," he said quietly, "why didn't you tell me?" Anna's voice broke, raw with emotion. "Why didn't you tell me that part of your heart never belonged to me?" Tom looked down at his hands. "Because I didn't want to hurt you. Claire was. She was my past. But Anna, you're my present. You're my everything now." Anna shook her head. "How can I believe that? When you've been holding on to her all this time?" Tom's silence was deafening, and Anna felt a deep crack form in the foundation of their marriage. Unable to bear the suffocating atmosphere at home, Anna began taking long walks through the neighborhood. She found comfort in the familiar sights, the old oak trees, the children playing in the park, the gentle hum of life continuing around her. One day, as she sat on a park bench, an elderly woman joined her. The woman had a kind face and a warm smile that immediately put Anna at ease. "You look troubled, dear," she said gently. Anna hesitated but found herself sharing bits of her story, her devotion to Tom, the sacrifices she'd made, and the pain of discovering his lingering feelings for another woman. The woman listened quietly, then placed a comforting hand on Anna's. "Love is complicated," she said. "It's not always perfect, and it's rarely fair. But true love is what you give, even when it feels like there's nothing left to receive." That night, Anna couldn't sleep. The elderly woman's words echoed in her mind, challenging her to confront her pain. She decided to write a letter, not to Tom, but to Claire. "Dear Claire, I don't know you, but I know you've lived in my husband's heart for a long time. I've spent 30 years giving him everything I have, only to feel like a stranger to parts of his soul. I don't blame you for the love you shared, but I need to understand. What did you mean to him? And what do you mean to him now?" She never intended to send the letter, but writing it brought a strange sense of clarity. As the ink dried on the page, Anna felt a small measure of strength return to her. Days turned into weeks, and Anna began to piece her life together in small ways. But just as she started to find her footing, the doorbell rang one crisp autumn afternoon. Standing on the porch was a woman with dark hair and a warm smile. Anna's heart stopped. It was Claire. "I'm sorry to show up unannounced," Claire said, her voice calm but laced with hesitation. "But I think we need to talk." Anna stood frozen, gripping the doorframe as a whirlwind of emotions crashed over her. What could Claire possibly want after all this time? Anna stood at the door, her heart racing as she looked at Claire. The woman in front of her, the one who had been a ghost in their marriage for so long, was now standing on her doorstep, asking to talk. Claire cleared her throat. "I know this is unexpected, and I never meant to cause any more pain. But I think it's time for you to hear my side." Anna's voice barely rose above a whisper. "What do you want from me?" Her anger, hurt, and confusion blended into a single, overwhelming feeling. Claire took a deep breath. "I don't want to hurt you, Anna. I just want to be honest. You deserve the truth." Anna stepped back, allowing Claire inside, her curiosity battling with the protective walls she'd built around her heart. They sat across from each other in the living room, the silence between them heavy. Claire shifted uncomfortably before speaking again. "I didn't leave because I stopped loving Tom," Claire began, her voice soft but clear. "I left because I thought I was doing what was best for him. I thought that by walking away, he could have the life he deserved." Anna's brow furrowed. "What do you mean?" Claire's eyes filled with pain. "Tom was never the same after we were separated. It was as though a part of him went with me. But I couldn't bear watching him suffer, knowing I was the cause of it. I thought, maybe he could find peace with you." Anna's mind whirled. This wasn't the confrontation she had imagined. It wasn't anger or blame, it was a woman speaking from a place of love and regret. Claire continued, her voice breaking with emotion. "After I left, I tried to move on. I met someone else, and for a while, I thought I had found happiness again. But every time I heard about Tom, I knew I still loved him. I never stopped loving him, Anna. Even after all these years, even after everything." Anna listened, her heart torn between empathy for Claire and the bitter sting of betrayal. Tom had kept these feelings buried, but they hadn't disappeared. "So, you've been in love with him all this time?" Anna asked quietly, her words hanging in the air. Claire nodded. "I never stopped. But I also know that he belongs with you now. I could never ask him to choose between us again." Anna's world seemed to spin as she processed this revelation. Claire wasn't trying to steal Tom away, she was simply sharing a truth she had carried for years. After Claire left, Anna sat in silence for what felt like hours. Her mind raced with the weight of everything she had just learned. Tom had been in love with another woman, his first love, and even though he had tried to move on, Claire's presence had never truly left his heart. The question that lingered in Anna's mind was a simple one: had she been enough? When Tom came home later that evening, the house was quiet, and the tension in the air was palpable. He looked at Anna with apprehension, knowing that something had shifted. "I spoke with Claire," Anna said, her voice calm, but there was an edge to it that Tom hadn't heard before. Tom froze. "You what?" I needed to hear her side of the story. "Tom," Anna continued. "She's not just a ghost from the past. She's someone you loved. And you still love her, don't you?" Tom's face fell. "Anna, please. It's not like that. I love you. I've always loved you." "But did you really love me, Tom?" Anna asked, her voice trembling. "Or was I just a substitute? Someone to fill the hole she left behind?" Tom's silence spoke louder than words ever could. He looked down, unable to meet her gaze. "I can't change the past, Anna." "I wish I could," he whispered, his voice cracking. Anna stood up slowly, her eyes filled with tears. "But you didn't change anything, did you, Tom? You just kept it hidden, pretending like it didn't matter. And now, I'm the one left with the aftermath of all your secrets." She walked to the window, her mind spinning. The house felt too small, too suffocating, and the weight of their years together suddenly felt like a burden. "I need time to think," Anna said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I need to figure out what this all means." The days that followed were marked by a growing distance between Anna and Tom. Anna spent more time alone, reflecting on everything: her marriage, her love for Tom, the pain of betrayal, and the realization that there was more to her life than being Tom's caretaker. She began to take long walks, not just through the neighborhood, but into her own heart. What did she want now? What was she willing to accept? And could she ever truly forgive Tom for keeping her in the dark for so long? During one of her walks, she met the elderly woman again in the park. Anna sat beside her, a little more at peace this time. "I've been thinking about what you said," Anna began. "About love being what you give, even when it feels like there's nothing left to receive," the woman nodded. "Love is a gift, Anna. But sometimes, we forget that we can give it to ourselves, too." Anna smiled faintly. "I think I'm finally learning that." In the weeks that followed, Anna began to take small but significant steps toward reclaiming her own life. She spent more time outside, breathing in the fresh air and noticing the little things she had once ignored: the sound of birds chirping, the feel of the sun on her face, and the freedom to walk without a specific destination in mind. She joined a yoga class at the community center, something she had always wanted to try but never had the time for. It felt strange at first, stretching her body in ways it hadn't been stretched in years, but soon, Anna realized she was not just stretching her body, she was stretching her heart. The more she focused on herself, the clearer it became: she was capable of healing, capable of moving forward. But first, she had to let go of the past. Tom, too, had been reflecting on their relationship. He knew he had made countless mistakes, but he was determined to make things right. One evening, he stood outside the door of Anna's yoga class, waiting for her to finish. His hands were sweaty, and his heart pounded in his chest. He had rehearsed this moment in his mind 1,000 times, but now that it was finally here, words seemed inadequate. When Anna walked out of the building, Tom stepped forward, his eyes filled with regret. "Anna, I owe you an apology," he said, his voice shaky. She stopped in her tracks, studying him. "You've apologized before, Tom. I don't know if words will ever be enough." "I know," he whispered. "But I need you to know that I am so sorry. I never meant to hurt you. I should have been honest from the start, and I should have never let you feel like you were second to anyone." Anna looked at him for a long moment, her expression unreadable. "I don't know if I can ever forget everything, Tom. But I do appreciate that you're finally being honest with me." As the days went on, Anna continued to focus on herself, but she couldn't ignore the part of her heart that still longed for Tom. Their marriage wasn't perfect, and they couldn't erase the hurt, but there was a glimmer of hope that perhaps they could rebuild together. One step at a time, Anna decided to visit the therapist they had seen years ago. And to her surprise, Tom agreed to join her. It wasn't easy, but little by little, they began to understand each other again. They learned to communicate their feelings more honestly, to express their needs without fear of judgment. Their journey wasn't going to be quick or easy, but Anna realized that healing wasn't just about fixing what was broken, it was about learning to love again, both themselves and each other. As winter settled in, Anna and Tom found themselves sitting by the fireplace one evening, something they hadn't done in years. The warmth of the fire and the soft crackle of the logs provided a comforting background as they talked. "Do you ever think about what we've been through?" Anna asked quietly. Her eyes locked on the flames. Tom nodded. "Every day. And every day, I regret how much time I wasted being afraid to face the truth. But I also think about how far we've come." "How far you've come," Anna smiled, a bittersweet smile. "I never imagined I'd be here, Tom. But I'm learning to forgive. Not just you, but myself too." Tom reached for her hand, his grip gentle. "We can start fresh, Anna. Together. We don't have to be perfect, but we can try. And we can love, again." Anna squeezed his hand, a sense of peace washing over her. She wasn't sure where their journey would take them, but for the first time in a long time, she believed they could face it together. As the years passed, Anna and Tom's relationship continued to evolve. They learned that love wasn't a destination, it was a journey, a constant ebb and flow of growth, forgiveness, and understanding. Tom had fully dedicated himself to their marriage once again, making sure Anna never felt neglected or second best. He attended every therapy session, supported her new endeavors, and constantly showed her how much he valued her. Anna, in turn, learned to appreciate the small moments, the quiet mornings with coffee, the evenings spent reading together, the laughter they shared as they discovered new hobbies. The love that had once felt like a burden had transformed into something beautiful, something stronger than before. One evening, after many years of healing, Anna found herself sitting at the kitchen table, pen in hand, as she wrote one final letter, this time, to herself. "Dear Anna, you have come so far. There were times you thought you wouldn't make it, times you felt as though the weight of your past would crush you. But you kept going. You kept loving. And you found your strength, your voice, and your peace. You are enough. You have always been enough, and no matter what happens next, you will be okay. You are worthy of love, of happiness, and of the life you choose to live." She placed the pen down and looked out the window, the moon shining brightly in the night sky. For the first time in years, Anna felt truly at peace with herself, with her past, and with the future. With each passing day, Anna continued to embrace her newfound strength. She found joy in the small, everyday moments and made peace with the choices she had made. Tom stood by her side, grateful for the chance to love her in ways he had never done before. Together, they had come through the storm. They had faced their darkest secrets, their deepest regrets, and their greatest fears, and they had emerged stronger for it. As they looked to the future, they knew that life would always be full of challenges. But they were ready to face them, together, with open hearts and unwavering love. The end of one chapter marked the beginning of another. And this time, Anna was ready to write it with hope and courage. Anna felt that the next step in her healing journey was to share her story with others. Over the years, she had received support from friends, family, and therapists, and she knew how important it was to let others know they weren't alone. She started volunteering at a local support group for caregivers, helping people who had been through similar struggles. It was in this group that Anna met Sarah, a woman who was struggling to care for her husband, who had been diagnosed with a chronic illness. "Sometimes, it feels like I'm losing myself," Sarah confessed one evening. "I don't know if I can keep going," Anna nodded, her heart aching for Sarah. She had been in that exact place, unsure of how she could continue. "I understand," Anna said softly. "But you have to remember that taking care of yourself is just as important as taking care of your loved one. You deserve peace, too." It was these small moments of connection that Anna found deeply fulfilling. She was giving back to others, just as she had received, and she felt the weight of the past finally lifting. As Anna continued to help others, she began to rediscover her own dreams. She'd always loved painting but had set it aside when life became too busy. Now, with more time for herself, she picked up a paintbrush again. At first, the strokes were hesitant. But soon the canvas became her refuge. She painted landscapes, portraits, and abstract pieces, each one reflecting a part of her heart. One day, Tom surprised her by organizing a small art show at the community center. The night of the show, Anna was filled with nerves. What if no one liked her work? What if she had wasted her time? But when the doors opened, and people began to admire her paintings, Anna felt a warmth inside. This was her moment. She had found something that was hers, something she had put off for too long. Months passed, and Anna's life began to feel complete in a way she hadn't imagined. She and Tom had grown closer, their connection deepened by their shared experiences and the work they had put into their relationship. Anna felt like they had both learned so much: how to love, how to forgive, and how to truly live in the present. One evening, as they sat together on the porch, watching the sun set, Tom turned to Anna. "Do you ever think about how far we've come?" he asked, his voice soft. Anna smiled, resting her head on his shoulder. "All the time. And I'm proud of us. We've been through so much, but I feel like we've finally found the life we were meant to live. I couldn't have done it without you, Anna," Tom said, his voice filled with sincerity. Anna looked at him, her eyes full of love. "And I couldn't have done it without you, Tom." One day, as Anna was preparing dinner, the doorbell rang. She opened the door to find a familiar face standing on her porch. It was Sarah, the woman from the caregiver support group. "Hi, Anna," Sarah said nervously. "I hope I'm not interrupting. I just wanted to thank you for everything you've done for me. I'm not sure I would have made it without your advice." Anna invited Sarah inside, and they sat down together, talking about life, challenges, and their shared experiences. Over time, Sarah began to find her own strength, and Anna couldn't help but feel proud of how far Sarah had come. As their friendship grew, Anna realized that helping others had not only healed her own wounds but had allowed her to build meaningful relationships that would last a lifetime. One afternoon, Anna found herself going through old family photos, memories of her younger years and the life she had once lived before everything changed. She paused on a photo of her and Tom when they were first married, young and full of dreams. It was hard to believe how much had happened since then. The love they shared back then was still there, but now it was different, richer, more seasoned, and tempered by the trials they had faced together. Tom joined her, sitting beside her with a gentle smile. "Do you ever think about who we were back then?" he asked. Anna nodded, a quiet chuckle escaping her lips. "I do. We were so young and naive, weren't we? But we've come a long way," Tom replied, his voice steady. "And I think we've both become stronger because of it." Anna smiled, feeling a deep sense of peace. "Yes. We've grown, together. And that's all that matters." In the following months, Tom began to take better care of his health. After years of neglect, he realized that his own well-being was just as important as Anna's. He started exercising regularly, eating better, and seeking out therapy to address his own emotional struggles. It was a slow process, but Anna supported him every step of the way. She could see how much Tom was changing, and she knew that the man who had once been so distant was now becoming someone she could lean on. Their relationship wasn't perfect, but it was theirs, and it was filled with mutual respect, love, and understanding. One evening, as they sat together in their living room, Anna and Tom reflected on how far they had come. "I never thought we'd be here," Anna said, a soft smile on her lips. "But I'm glad we are." Tom took her hand, his voice filled with quiet gratitude. "Me too. And I'm so thankful for everything we've learned along the way. I think we're exactly where we're supposed to be." Anna squeezed his hand. "Yes. We've been through so much, but we're still here. And that's enough." Together, they looked out the window, watching the stars twinkle in the night sky. The future seemed uncertain, but for the first time in a long time, Anna was confident that whatever came next, they would face it together. If you enjoy this story, don't forget to hit that like button and share your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming stories like this.